A City in Fear, The Vanishing of Dr. George Parkman, November 23rd, 1849. Boston awoke to a chill, a different kind of chill, one that seeped into the very bones of the city. Dr. George Parkman, a man of habit, of routine, a man as familiar on the cobbled streets as the lamplighters themselves, had vanished. Parkman wasn't just any man. He was a scion of Boston's elite, a man of property, of medicine. His disappearance was not something that could be ignored. Whispers turned to worried murmurs, then to shouts in the marketplace. Where was Dr. Parkman? Days melted into each other, each one colder, each one more fraught with dread. The city held its breath. Search parties scoured alleys, questioned acquaintances, dredged the Charles River. Every shadow seemed to hold the missing doctor, every darkened doorway a possible crime scene. But Dr. Parkman remained missing. His disappearance, a puzzle with no solution, a story missing its ending. The city of Boston waited and watched and prayed for answers. The suspect, Dr. Webster and the halls of Harvard. The epicenter of the mystery wasn't a shadowy alleyway or a forgotten corner of the docks. It was Harvard Medical College, a place of learning, of science, now shrouded in suspicion. For it was here, in these hallowed halls, that Dr. George Parkman was last seen, entering the office of a colleague, a man named Dr. John White Webster. Webster was a different breed than Parkman. While Parkman hailed from wealth, Webster struggled financially, perpetually in debt, his position at Harvard less about prestige and more about clinging to respectability. He was a man of science, yes, but also a man burdened by the weight of his own ambitions. The two men were known to have their differences. Money was owed, favours unreturned. Their interactions, once cordial, had become strained, whispers of arguments echoing in the corridors of the medical school. As the days turned into weeks and Dr. Parkman's absence loomed ever larger, suspicion began to gather around Dr. Webster. He became the focus of hushed conversations, of sidelong glances. The city, desperate for answers, started to wonder, could this man of science, this colleague, this debtor be responsible for the disappearance of Dr. George Parkman? Grisly discoveries, unmasking the truth in the privy. The stench was the first sign. A foul, putrid odour emanating from a locked privy beneath the Harvard Medical College. It was a smell that spoke of decay, of death, a smell that could no longer be ignored. The college janitor, Ephraim Littlefield, a man used to the less than savoury aspects of his job, knew something was terribly wrong. With a mix of apprehension and grim determination, Littlefield broke through the wall of the privy into the space below. There, amidst the waste and refuse, lay a gruesome tableau. Dismembered human remains, partially burned, hidden in the darkness. It was a scene that would forever haunt the city of Boston. The identification was swift and terrible. The body, mutilated though it was, belonged to Dr. George Parkman. The city, once holding its breath in hope, now gasped in collective horror. The missing doctor had been found not in some far-off place, but in the very heart of the institution he was so closely tied to. A trial for the age's science, speculation and justice served. The trial of Dr. John White Webster was a spectacle unlike any Boston had ever seen. The hallowed halls of justice were transformed into a macabre theatre. Crowds thronged the courthouse, eager for any scrap of information, any glimpse into the minds of the accused and the victim. Evidence mounted against Webster. A furnace still warm, with traces of bone and flesh. A set of false teeth, crafted for Parkman, discovered hidden away. And the testimony of Ephraim Littlefield, the janitor who had unwittingly unearthed the truth, painted a damning picture. The defense argued for Webster's innocence, pointing to the circumstantial nature of the evidence. But the jury remained unconvinced. After days of deliberation, they returned a verdict guilty. John White Webster, man of science, doctor, debtor, was now a convicted murderer. The Webster-Parkman case sent shockwaves through America. It was a story of betrayal, of greed, of the dark side of ambition. But it was also a testament to the power of forensic science, then in its infancy, to uncover the truth no matter how gruesome. The case served as a grim reminder that even in the most esteemed institutions, darkness could lurk, and that justice, though sometimes slow, could ultimately prevail.